What's up? My name Devonte, aka Don. I'm an ex-con. I want to take a moment of your time today to talk about a few common misconceptions regarding people who's fresh out the joint, people still doing time, ex-cons, people on parole. This is something that deeply impacted my life because my father was an ex-convict, my brother did time, I found myself incarcerated for a while, and I made something out of my life, so I know that everyone watching this video can make something out of their life too. The first common misconception that I want to get into today is that not everyone who goes to jail is a criminal. And first and foremost, I don't know any criminal who wakes up in the morning and say, I'm going to commit a crime. There's people who's and locked up because they missed their first child support payment. There's people locked up because they forgot to pay a fine or a ticket that they had. And these people are behind bars with murderers and people who's doing life and things like that. The issue with that is that when you get out of that jail and you come home and rejoin society, you're no longer an upstanding member of society. Now you're viewed as less than a man, less than a woman, and these are strikes that's against you now. Now, this is on your record. When you go to a job, when you do the background check, 9 times out of 10, you might not be able to get that job. When it's time for you to go get that apartment, you might not be able to get that apartment because you have a record. You have people who go into jail when they're kids and coming out grown men. You have people getting sent to jail when the only thing they really needed was education. The issue is we're just sending anyone to jail, treating everyone the same when we're not all the same. We're not all murderers. We're not all rapists. We're not all people who abuse children. Some of us just missed one child support payment. Some of us just forgot to pay something that's very stupid, or we just put it in the back of our minds, and then it was just a second too late, and now we're on the opposite side of society, looked down upon. And that's another misconception. That's the first misconception that I want to get into, because I've experienced, when I was incarcerated, I've seen people get locked up for a child support payment that they missed. It was their first one, and now they're in jail in my cell with me. So this is something that's very common right now. Actually, after the whole bail reform thing, it's the sheriff's job to actually go out and find the criminals now. And the only people that these sheriffs are locking up are people who miss child support payments. They're not outside looking for murderers, drug dealers. They're looking for people who just missed one payment on their child support, because are they the easiest people to get? Like, so now it's like people are being targeted when they're not even really criminals. And for the main part, there's a lot of people who's committing crimes, and they're not committing crimes because they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. They're probably committing this crime because I have to feed my daughter, or my son needs some Pampers, or my bills have to get paid, or I'm about to get put out the house. These jobs aren't trying to hire me. These jobs don't want to hire people who look like me. Once you've been inside those bars, you're different. Everything is hard. It's much harder for you now. And facing that reality, you just can't give up at that point. You just have to keep pushing until something happens. Second common misconception is that time is going to wait for you when you get out of jail. That's not true. While you're locked up, incarcerated behind those bars, time is just going forward. Time doesn't wait on no one. Your family still have to go to work to get those bills paid. Your kids are still going to school. There's so many different things that you're missing. Your kids are growing up. People are passing away. There's so many different things that you're missing. There's new devices coming out every year. So when you come home, you're expecting things to be the same when nothing is the same. Everything just got so much harder. The process to something just became extended. Now you have to work harder to get something that you could have obtained in a short amount of time. Time has already passed you by, and when you come home from jail, you've already lost that period of time in your life, on top of the fact that we spend 20 years of our life sleeping. And then you spend 5 years in jail. That's 25 years of your life already gone. Now, when you come home from jail, now you have to play makeup. Now we have to work harder, faster, just to obtain things that we could have obtained if we probably didn't get incarcerated. Crime is an everyday thing. People get incarcerated, but the fact of the matter is, just because you end up on the wrong side of society, that doesn't mean that you have to stay there. Just because you fall, that doesn't mean that you have to stay on the ground. Sometimes you just have to train your mind that when you fall, you have to immediately get back up. And that's what separates the repeat offenders from the people who's coming home from jail and they're doing things with their life. They're actually being successful and not falling back into those traps. But I mean, I get it. You send a boy to jail when he comes home a man, the only thing he knows is everything he learned when he was a boy. You send a man to jail and he's in jail his whole life, and then you finally send him home, the only thing he knows is jail. It's a study shows that it takes about 10 years just for a man to get out of that jail mind state. When I first came home, I used to shower with slippers on. I still know people who shower with slippers on to this day. That's just one way just to show you just how it really fucks you up in the head, and that stuff just really just stays with you. The third common misconception that I want to get into is the fact as though that when you get out of jail, you're expected to just rejoin society. Now, this is very old saying, you can take someone out the hood, but you can't take the hood out that person. It's the same thing with someone in jail. You can take someone out in jail, but you can't take those experiences that they experienced while they were in jail. You can't take that away. That's already it's burned inside your brain. There's things that you've seen that you can't unsee. There's things that you've done that you just can't undo. And with that being said, it's harder to get out of jail and try to be a regular citizen. You still looking over your shoulder every day. You still don't really want people getting close to you. You're still doing things that you don't even realize it. There's a lot of things that you were doing in jail that you're still doing when you get home, but that's because those things are already ingrained in your way of thinking. You have to really transform your whole way of thinking. Otherwise, it's like you're still doing the same things, and not everything is all bad. There is a possibility to take those prison mind states and transform it into something positive, but the reality of it is not everyone has the ability to do that. I felt like I feel like I am a shark. When I was in jail, I felt like I had a very simple decision to make. I can either be a shark or I can be a fish, and I decided that I wasn't going to be anyone's food. And to this day, I still carry that mind state with me every day, that I'm a shark. If I stop swimming, I'm going to die. If I there's no failure. Failure is not an option. I can only succeed. Succeeding is the only option. They say that when you make a plan B, you plan to fail. That's the reason why you have to make that plan A. You have to make it thorough. You have to stick to it, and you have to get it done.